Hi, this video is going to show how we can configure a handheld scanner to set a match string rule on a Zebra fixed position scanner to only allow particular products through the filter in the Aurora Focus software. Put simply, you would use this if you only want to allow a particular product through a process. So maybe you have products moving down a conveyor, you want to make sure that the operator has loaded the right product on that conveyor. So you can scan a barcode at the beginning of the process. So the first product that you get, you can scan, and then the FS will only accept and allow through barcodes that match that string. So that's just one use case of many. What I'm showing you first is how everything is connected. So I'm using a standard Zebra cable up to this point. Everything else is a little bit more customized, which is why we're talking through it now. And you can see the part numbers for each individual cable on screen. So I'm powering the DS3608 with a standard 240 volt power supply. It's converted down to 12 volts. It goes into a jack on the side of the serial connector of the scanner itself. I'm going to show you what that looks like in a second. I have then taken a standard serial cable. I've cut the female end off, and I've taken pins 2 and pin 5 from that cable, and I've connected it to the FS40 using a standard GPIO cable. Part number you can see here. So what I'm doing here is sending out over serial using the TX pin, which is going into the RX, the receive, on the FS. We're not doing any two-way traffic here. We're not sending anything from the FS40. So I only need 2 wires, TX and RX, to be connected, and then the ground is connected to the shield on the FS cable. And then lastly, I have a host PC that I'm talking to you now on, so that we can configure the scanner and I can talk you through the process. Okay, so we're quickly going to move to the camera, and I'm going to show you what that looks like real world. So these are the 2 cables connected. So this is the serial cable out of the handheld, and this side here is going to the FS40 on the GPIO M12 connector. So just 2 cables required, and you can see the pinouts for that in the FS product guide, reference guide rather, and these are the pins we're using. So brown for RX to receive data, and the shield wire down here, looking like this. And these are all straight through cables. So transmit is coming straight out of the handheld scanner and then into the FS40 on the receive. So there's a crossover happening here. Okay, so I have a DS3608 connected, and I used 123 scan to do some basic configuration. And I'm going to talk you through this out of the box, brand new scanner. So choose your scanner model, and the first thing I'm going to do is add an RS232 cable. USB is standard. I want to use RS232, and that's actually all we're going to change. If you have a scanner to hand while you're watching this, you can skip this process and just scan these barcodes with a powered DS3608, and it will set that in the same way. Okay, so we're finished with 123 scan, quick and easy process. And if we now scan a barcode with our handheld scanner, we should see some data. So what I'm going to do to test this is disconnect all of this right now, and I'm going to connect that DB9 straight into my PC, just so that I can prove everything is working on this side. And to do that, I'm going to use a piece of software called Contest Serial, and I'm going to use a serial to USB adapter because in my case my laptop doesn't have a serial port. I'm going to disconnect the scanner from the FS, connect it to my adapter and plug that back in. Okay, so my handheld scanner is now connected to my laptop. I can open a virtual serial port, which is this adapter here. Baud rate, etc. hasn't changed, as you saw in 123 scan, that's all default. So if I connect to that and scan a barcode, sometimes this happens, you have to come away, release the serial port, connect it back again, and you can see the data coming through here. So this is me scanning ABC, and that's the data coming through. Another 123 just out of shot over here. Okay, so what I want to show here is there is no suffix on this barcode string. So the handheld scanner is not adding a suffix. Okay, perfect. So that's working, and the barcodes that I'm actually scanning I made in Bartender here. So I have two codes here that I'm using to prove this process, scanning right now, and I also have two barcodes down here, and these are the barcodes that contain the syntax that when scanned from the handheld and sent to the fixed scanner will update the match string. So the scanner will only allow barcodes with this data to pass the filter. And what I'm going to do before I disconnect the handheld is scan those barcodes so that you can see what that looks like. So let's clear the old data. So that is the data that will come out of the handheld and come into the FS40. And that syntax is in the documentation, in the Aurora Focus user guide. You will see it under the match string section. So I've taken this, I have put it into a barcode in Bartender, I've added the data that I want to allow through, and then I've added carriage return line feed as non-printable characters to the barcode string itself. So I don't have to send that suffix out of the handheld, and I can leave it as default. Okay, so I'm going to disconnect from my PC now and connect the serial cable back into the fixed position scanner. So I have put those back together, and now the data that you just saw coming out of the handheld is going to go straight to the FS40. We can't monitor that anymore, but we can prove it's happening. So over to the FS, and we're going to do this from the beginning. So into communication, enable edit, and pretty simple, all you need to do here is enable RS-232 control. Now in my case, I have set my control character to carriage return line feed because again in my barcode I have added those non-printable characters. So the scanner is expecting to see that suffix. If it does, it will accept that match string rule. Okay, and then you would need to apply, and you can then create your job. So I have a job here that's already configured, but we're going to very quickly go through what that configuration looks like. It's very simple. My trigger is set to presentation mode, so if it detects movement, it will turn on and try to read a barcode. and in my barcode settings everything is standard, but I have enabled barcode string match here, and that's currently set to ABC. And you can type anything into here manually, hit enter, and it will update accordingly. So let's prove that first. I'm going to deploy this job. Let's bring on the camera back up. Okay, so I have two barcodes here, my 1, 2, 3 and my ABC. Only one of those is going to read. So the 1, 2, 3, nothing at all. We try the ABC. So you can see the good read illuminator coming on there. And if we look at Aurora Focus, there's a green box around it which indicates it has met our criteria, and that barcode data will be sent out of the channel specified. If we go back into edit mode and manually take a shot of a barcode that does not meet that criteria, you will see what the scanner is doing here. So nothing is happening here. Even though the barcode is very readable, it's not actually doing anything, which is what we want, because the data inside that barcode, 1, 2, 3, does not match our filter criteria here. If we were to change that manually to 1, 2, 3, it would then read. Okay, so that's how the scanner is going to work, but we don't want to have to open Aurora Focus and change this field every time, which is why we have this setup where we can scan a barcode containing the syntax to change that field remotely from a handheld scanner. So in practice, let's see what that looks like. So 1, 2, 3 is what the match string is set to currently. I'm going to scan this barcode with the handheld scanner that is going to update that match string rule to now only allow barcode with ABC. So that same 1, 2, 3 is no longer reading. If we try barcode with ABC, that is now reading. So 1, 2, 3, nothing. ABC is fine. So if we go back to our barcode string match, you will see that 1, 2, 3 has been updated to ABC. I'll just for reference, you will see, even though I'm scanning that update string, because the scanner isn't in run mode, that field doesn't update. So if you're struggling with this, just remember that you have to deploy the job before you try and set your match string. So now if I set my match string to 1, 2, 3, the handheld, and go back to our field, you can see it's been updated to 1, 2, 3. And that's the configuration finished.